This week, Jupiter police arrested a couple accused of caging their 14-year-old son in a garage enclosure separated from his 3 other siblings also living in the home.
Yeah, those children have been removed from that home by Child Protective Services.
CBS 12's Lily Ortiz spoke with child advocates to find out where those children may be now and the overall process to make sure children are safe and getting the care they need during investigations like this one.
After the state determines that children living in an abusive setting are unsafe, that's when they remove them from the home. Now, advocates tell me there are dozens of agencies in our own backyard that keep children safe. And while their #1 goal is to keep the siblings all together, sometimes it is easier said than done.
I see them usually a few days after they've been removed, but it's almost like they're still in shock. They don't know who all these people are that come in and out of their lives.
Diana Reese is the executive director of a nonprofit organization called Speak Up for Kids of Palm Beach County. She is appointed by the court to advocate for a child. And most of these kids have been removed from their homes because of an alleged abuse.
They often don't understand, especially the little ones, why they were removed. Like, why am I not with mom and dad?
Jupiter police arrested Tracy and Timothy Ferreter for locking their 14-year-old son in a small room, sometimes for up to 18 hours a day, abusing him. The Ferreters have 3 other children, and they have been removed by Child Protective Services this week.
You really see that they want to be together. They worry about their other siblings.
Florida statute prioritizes placing the children with a relative. And when that's not an option, then the children are either placed in a home-based setting while the parents do what the courts determine is required. These children see all sorts of specialists right away in these settings, including mental health experts.
I know that in Palm Beach County, they work really hard to find homes that will temporarily, foster care, take in sibling sets. And then they look for a long-term solution. Can that foster care keep them until the case is straightened out?
To help make this possible is ChildNet, what's known as a lead community agency to manage the child welfare system in South Florida.
ChildNet will try to find a licensed foster home, and we subcontract with other nonprofit agencies in Palm Beach County to recruit, support, and train foster parents.
He says there's a huge need for more homes for sibling groups, teenagers, and children with special medical needs.
There is a process that you have to go to, that we have to go through: background checks, background screenings, home studies, and then, even then, training after we get people licensed.
Now back to this specific case out of Jupiter, the court-appointed attorneys representing these children tell CBS 12 that these kids are safe, they're protected, and have been nothing but respectful and polite.
CBS 12 News on air and online, we're honing in on stories that affect women's health. As disruptive and devastating as COVID's been for so many of us, it's also been a wake-up call about trying to be healthier.
Yeah, doctors have been warning that overweight people are a much higher risk for COVID complications. And while we're about to introduce you to a woman and her husband who had been talking about getting into shape, but the pandemic actually added a sense of urgency. So they made what's perhaps a risky decision, but one that's becoming more popular: weight loss surgery.
Here's our Andrew Lothholm on assignment for the I-Team.
I'm someone who had been doing Weight Watchers, it feels like, my whole life.
COVID has become a sort of blessing for Laura and Bill Barlow. They say the pandemic accelerated a long overdue lifestyle change.
It still kind of boggles my mind, but like for dinner over the weekend, I had 3 ounces of salmon and a couple green beans. And I felt like I just finished Thanksgiving dinner.
The Barlows used to love going out to eat, whether it was for date night, a meal with coworkers or friends, and when watching TV, snacking was big. As it happens, the couple moved to Delray Beach from Atlanta on March 13, 2020.
I am officially declaring a national emergency.
Nearly 2 years later, they felt like COVID and their weight was a personal emergency because, according to the CDC, being obese triples the risk of hospitalization due to a COVID infection.
Oh yeah, that was a big factor.
Sure.
We both actually at one point joined a different gym, looking to kind of, these are the people that are getting hit. We have 3 kids, let's buckle down. We want to be here for our kids as it's going on. And then right back up again we went.
Bill would go first. He had bariatric surgery in early January. The 39-year-old was pre-diabetic and on medication.
The last one I took was 2 days before the surgery, and I've never taken it since. I'm off my blood pressure medication already. I'm off my cholesterol medication. Like, I'm off of everything. It's crazy.
2 weeks later, it was Laura's turn. The 34-year-old struggled with acid reflux-induced asthma.
I'm now just over 2 weeks out from surgery, haven't had acid reflux once. When I was having it every single night, I was having asthma attacks from it every single night.
So with COVID awareness, our program actually increased 50% last year.
Dr. Erica Podolsky is in charge of the surgical weight loss program at the Delray Medical Center, where the Barlows went.
Obesity is a disease that makes it easier to get COVID, harder to treat COVID. People don't do as well, when they get COVID and they have obesity. So recently that's become a big focus.
Bariatric surgery itself makes the stomach smaller so you feel fuller quicker. And it's a metabolic surgery, so doctors say diabetes and acid reflux go into remission. However, doctors caution there may also be side effects, including reflux and heartburn, vitamin and mineral deficiencies, hypoglycemia, bowel complications, and increased risk for ulcers. According to the American Society for Metabolic and Bariatric Surgery, 250,000 Americans got the surgery in 2019. The trend had been getting more and more people getting it every year. But then in 2020, we were hit with the pandemic. And there's been an ongoing debate in some states about whether this is an elective surgery or an emergency surgery. And many surgeons stopped doing them during COVID.
What actually was really eye-opening was getting in front of the doctor and realizing that there are people who just need a metabolic reset. So, I could have dieted the whole rest of my life, and this is where my body was always going to sit. By doing the surgery, you get that reset.
The procedure itself is just one step.
I think people think the surgery sometimes is an easy way out, which it's not. It's hard work.
It's a change inside and out. You have to break old hardened habits and create new ones.
If you're not ready for it, not just physically, but also mentally, it could be too much, too fast.
The fridge and pantry in the Barlow house are transformed.
Before, normally it would be a lot of cereal, it'd be a lot of chips, it'd be a lot of snacks and processed, just easy grab items. But now, as you can see, it's all a lot of protein.
Staying away from junk food is a team effort. Husband and wife cheerlead for each other.
Has there been a moment where you're like, you know what, that ice cream in the fridge, that could be really good?
I think mostly we commiserate. Instead of having one person sitting on the couch eating a pizza and then the other person on the couch eating their 2 ounces of pureed refried beans, we get to both eat it all together. And I think that that's more important. We got rid of the temptation.
Doing it together definitely has made the difference.
Already, they've seen results. This is the same shirt pre and post-op.
How much weight have you lost so far?
Right now I'm at 48 pounds and I'm at 31 days since my surgery.
I've lost 22 pounds in the 2 weeks.
But what they see on the scale is not the true measure of success.
The number doesn't bother me as far as what I weigh. I want to look good. I want to feel good. I want to be around long enough to, see my kids grow up, and be with her. And that's to me the most important part. Weight's just a number. I think a lot of people get hung up on that.
Now, some more about the surgery. To qualify, you have to be 80 to 100 pounds overweight, which means a BMI, a body mass index, of 35 with underlying health issues or 40 without. Now, it takes some major sacrifices. Post-op, you can't drink coffee for a month, no alcohol for at least 6 months, and you have to ease back into foods with much smaller portions. Now, for the Barlows, they noticed a surge in energy. When they would normally go socially eat or drink, they find themselves out for a walk more with their dog and kids now. Now, on top of their increased life expectancy, they're spending way less on food than they used to.
Well, the battle over masks in the classroom is back. Governor Ron DeSantis now says he thinks parents should sue the school districts that defied his executive order and made masks mandatory. Palm Beach County was one of those districts. Meantime, lawmakers in Tallahassee have their own plan to punish those districts. Our Jay O'Brien has that story tonight and why all of this is drawing some pretty strong reaction. Jay?
Yeah, Jim, the school district is watching this closely tonight, even though here in Palm Beach County and other districts across the state, they haven't had mask mandates since November when the state outlawed them. But even after all of that time, there was a big chunk of funding on the line because of that decision to require students wear masks.
Tonight, Governor Ron DeSantis putting masking back in the spotlight. They flouted the law, saying the 12 school districts in the state that defied his order and mandated masks last fall should face legal repercussions. That includes Palm Beach County, where tensions over mask mandates flared for months.
Any parent whose kid was illegally forced masked this year in Florida in any of those districts, they should have the right to sue if their kids have any negative effects of it.
It's all taxpayer money. I think we forget that.
Attorney Glenn Torsivia believes any lawsuits from a parent likely wouldn't hold up in court because the districts can argue they were following CDC guidance and trying to keep students safe, something officials frequently told us.
But in making that decision, you are breaking the rules.
Yes, we are. I believe that the rules are in conflict with my obligation as a board member.
But lawsuits aren't the only threat on the horizon. In Tallahassee, some Republican lawmakers now proposing changes to the state budget that would take funding away from those districts that mandated masks and give it to schools that didn't. Under that proposal, Palm Beach County schools believe they'll lose an estimated $28 million. But State Rep Randy Fine, who wrote the proposal, promises the cuts will only target school administrators, making more than $100,000 a year.
The budget will explicitly say you cannot cut from in-school funding. Hopefully the politicians who are so excited about breaking our laws will think harder next time.
Now, Palm Beach County Superintendent Mike Burke sent us this statement tonight. He called Representative Fine's proposal, and we're quoting here, unfounded, unprecedented, and unjust. He said it will be punitive and impact the ability of our schools to meet the needs of our students. That funding proposal is still making its way through the legislature. It's tacked onto the state budget, and it has a lot more hurdles to go before it would reach Governor DeSantis' desk.